Get ready, Friar Faithful. This is the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Schilt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in the final game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today on the mound for Arizona, right-hander Merrill Kelly, and for the Padres, right-hander Nick Pivetta. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 1:10 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Schilt. We'll also hear from Padres radio voice Jesse Agler in just a few minutes. Our keys to the game, a full breakdown of today's pitching matchup, and much, much more to come. And of course, say happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, including my dad, Jeffrey, who may or may not be tuning in right now from New York. A happy Father's Day to everybody out there on what is a beautiful Sunday here in San Diego. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Well, the Padres come in 38-31. Padres have lost 4 of their past 5 games. Since May 11th in that 21-run game in Colorado, the Padres are just 13-18 in their last 31 games, and trust me, it doesn't give me any great pleasure to share that number, but just is what it is right now. Diamondbacks come in 36-34. Arizona has won 5 games in a row. They're 9-3 in their last 12 games. A win today would give Arizona their longest winning streak of the season. Padres entered today sitting in 3rd place in the National League West, 3 games behind the Dodgers for first place. D-backs sit 5.5 games out of first. And I hate to do this to you, but we do it every day. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
It was Gavin Sheets yesterday who gave the Padres an early lead.
Sheets hammers this one in the air, deep down the right field line, headed towards the bullpen, way back, gonna go. Long home run for Gavin Sheets. 12th of the season, and the Padres strike first. A solo shot here in the second. It's 1-0.
Padres still led 1-0 going to the 4th inning. There were 2 on against Ryan Bergert. Eugenio Suarez dug in.
Suarez swings, hits it in the air, deep to left field. This one way back and gone. A 3-run home run for Eugenio Suarez, his 20th of the year. And just like that, the Diamondbacks lead. It's 3-1.
Bergert got through 5 innings, allowed just those 3 runs. He struck out 8. Padres rallied in the 7th, still trailing 3-1. Fernando Tatis Jr. dug in with the bases loaded. 3-2 pitch. Tatis beyond the dive of Suarez into left field. Sheets has scored. Cronenworth's on the way. He scores standing up. A 2-run game-tying single for Tatis, and it's 3-3 here in the 7th. Later in the inning, it was Manny.
And the first pitch, Manny lines it into left center field. He has found the gap, and the Padres going to take the lead. Diaz scores easily from second. Fernando rounding third. He'll score easily from first. It's a 2-run double for Manny Machado. And the Pods are back in front. It's 5-3.
You better believe it.
Padres scored 2 more runs in the top of the 9th inning. It was 7-3, so everything going the Padres' way. Robert Suarez came in for the 9th inning. Not a save situation. It did not go well. 3 singles, then a strikeout, then an infield RBI single for Ketel Marte. Made it 7-4. The bases were loaded for Geraldo Perdomo.
Bases loaded, 1 out, up by 3. The 1-1 pitch ripped into right field. That's a base hit. Moreno has scored. Thomas is being waved. It gets beyond Tatis all the way to the wall. Here comes Marte. The game is tied. Perdomo into third with a bases clearing triple. And it's 7-7 here in the 9th.
Adrian Morejon came in to face Josh Naylor with the winning run on third base.
Lefty to lefty, Morejon delivers, and a slow topper to first. Arises got it, coming home. The tag is, not in time! Not in time! Perdomo slid in head first. He's called safe. Obviously, the Padres will challenge it. It was a tag play, and home plate umpire James Hoy said he slid in ahead of the tag from the Padre catcher Diaz.
The Padres did challenge it. The call was correct. The final score, 8-7, the Diamondbacks scoring 5 runs in the bottom half of the 9th inning to come back and win it. Yesterday was the D-backs' 4th victory in a game where they trailed by 4 or more runs in the 9th inning this season. They're the only team in history to have even 3 of those wins before the All-Star break. What a comeback by the D-backs yesterday, and now the Padres trying to avoid a sweep in this 3-game set here today. Let's go out to Chase Field in Arizona.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, first things first, a very happy Father's Day to you, Tony, and Dave on this Sunday. And let's focus on yesterday's game for a second, relate it into today. Obviously not the way you wanted it to end, a very rough bottom half of the 9th inning. However, I guess the silver lining, Jesse, would be you hope that the Padres offensively take what they did in the final 3 innings yesterday, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ways to look at it, certainly because we saw a lot from the offense in the 7th, 8th, and 9th that, we've been kind of waiting to see. Easier said than done, obviously. You're going to be facing a tough guy today in Merrill Kelly, who's been the best starter for the Diamondbacks this year. But, yeah, I think if you're looking to kind of spin yesterday's game forward in a positive way, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
And also throw out there that, Robert Suarez, even with last night, he's been, I think, very easily fair to say, the best closer in baseball this year. So, it's not a long-term concern, with Robert Suarez having one of those nights, because sometimes you just have one of those nights.
Yeah, it happens. The best closers and the best of teams, right? And I think, as crazy as it might sound, I think you could also make an argument that the games the Padres have lost where the offense really isn't doing anything and it's a one-run game, those is maybe more frustrating in the big picture than when your closer just has a bad night. And hopefully Robert can bounce back the next time he's on the mound. Taking a look at this pitching matchup here today, Jesse. Nick Pivetta, it's been a shaky couple of starts for him after a tremendous start to his Padres career. On the other side, Merrill Kelly, this is a guy the Padres have had a good amount of success against. Obviously, they've seen him a lot over the years, but he's putting together a really, really nice year, and especially as of late, he's been really good.
Yeah, for a team that's been kind of decimated on the injury front in the pitching department, Merrill Kelly has been huge for the Diamondbacks, because I think if he wasn't out there having the kind of year he's having, they could be in a tough spot. The Padres got to Zach Gallen late in yesterday's game, but he hasn't been himself. And then obviously the injuries, Corbin Burns, the biggest one, have really put them in a tough spot. So Merrill Kelly has been something of a godsend, I think, for the Diamondbacks this year. And, we'll see. It's kind of a little bit like Gallen. The guy we saw yesterday is not really the guy that we had seen in previous years. Feels like there's something similar with Merrill Kelly. Not that he's necessarily pitching differently, but he's getting different kinds of results, both in terms of swing and miss, in terms of batted ball, and obviously in terms of the record and the ERA. So it's a different looking guy than the one we saw last year, and we only saw him once last year, very late in the season.
Yeah.
Padres, as you alluded to, handled him well in his last 4 starts against the Padres, which goes back a couple of years. The ERA is over 6. So hopefully, it kind of goes back to that form for Merrill Kelly. But again, he's been a different guy here in a good way for him in 2025.
And speaking of Diamondbacks pitching, they did make an interesting signing earlier today. I'll talk about it a little bit later. A guy that the Padres are also very familiar with. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, what the Diamondbacks did today. I want to focus on them a little bit more, Jesse, because even though they're dealing with a ton of pitching injuries, their bullpen is not great. Man, they're a good offensive team. Yeah. You look at their lineup, they can really hit. They hit a lot of home runs. I don't know about you. I still view this Diamondbacks team as dangerous in the big picture of this season, because this offense, I think they're going to continue to score.
I think you used the exact right word. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know where they end up wins and losses wise because of the injuries, because of, how they're going to try and address that between now and the trade deadline or not. So I don't know what it looks like at the end for them, but they are absolutely a team because of the offense. They can beat anybody on any night.
Yeah.
And so dangerous, like I said, is the exact right word to use. They're going to be at worst, they're going to be annoying, and or at best maybe they're going to be annoying, and they're going to be a team that you really have to close it out against, as we saw last night, because they're willing to hit all the way until that 27th out, and they've got the guys who can do it. So yeah, you're right. I mean, they have the pitching issues. They're going to give up some runs, but they're going to score a ton of runs, and particularly in this ballpark. Tony and I were talking about here last night. Coors obviously is the quirkiest of all because of the acreage and because of the altitude and everything like this. This one is quirky in like the best ways. There's, to me, just enough nooks and crannies and weirdness in the outfield here to make things interesting, where you get a lot of those extra base hits. The triple by Perdomo in the ninth inning last night, perfect example. There's just that one little weird angle in the fence in the right field corner where it happened to hit. And to me, this place, Chase Field, has the exact right amount of weirdness to it that allows for fun and exciting things to happen. And they very much have a team that's able to take advantage of that.
And it's actually such a good point on that triple yesterday, because you have Moreno running from first base. And typically I would say with Fernando going to get that ball, hey, you would have a shot at getting the runner at home plate. But there was no play. Once that ball was rolling towards that corner, you knew the game was going to be tied, because there was just so much room for it to roll into that deep corner and right. Jesse, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at the top of the hour as the Padres go for a win today in Arizona. As always, thanks so much.
You got it, Sam.
All right, that's Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. Again, first pitch coming up at 1:10, and so we go out to Jesse and Tony at the very top of the hour. All right, lot to do on our pregame coverage. If you want to get involved, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLevC. It used to be so easy. I would say just tweet at me, but now I don't know. You see, just X at me, whatever. Find me on X at Sammy Lev. You can also find me on Instagram at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. You can also comment on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from, what you're up to on this Sunday. May just give you a shout out here on the air, and we'll also accept your keys to the game. May just read one of your keys to today's game live on our pregame coverage. When we come back, we'll give you today's starting lineups for both these teams. We'll also hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. First pitch coming up at 1:10 in Arizona. You're tuned in to the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 1:10 on this Sunday here in San Diego. Still a lot to do on our pregame coverage. We'll hear from Mike Schilt coming up in just a little bit. We'll also have our keys to the game. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, full breakdown of a good pitching matchup today between Nick Pivetta and Merrill Kelly. Give you the starting lineups here in a second. I did talk about the D-backs signing somebody earlier today. They signed veteran right-hander Anthony DeSclafani to a major league contract earlier today. 35 years old, last pitched in the major leagues in 2023, had a 4.88 ERA in nearly 100 innings with the Giants. He spent last year in the Twins system, but was unable to pitch due to a right elbow injury. Signed a minor league deal with the Yankees this May, made 5 starts at AAA. Then he opted out of his deal earlier this week. He has signed a major league deal with the D-backs, so seems like he likely will make some starts for Arizona, somebody the Padres have seen a bunch of over the years. So Anthony DeSclafani back in the National League West. So that was the news of the day on the Diamondback side of things. As far as the Padres, and we'll have the full injury report a little bit later, talk about Jason Hayward, Yu Darvish, the latest updates on them. I did want to share this, and let me be clear, Padres have not officially made this move. However, Kevin Acee of the San Diego Union-Tribune reporting on X this morning that Trenton Brooks, who had a really nice spring training, he will take Jackson Merrill's spot on the active roster. According to Kevin, Merrill is headed to the concussion IL after coming out of yesterday's game after that hard tag in the helmet at second base on a stolen base attempt. Merrill was clearly not well. He clearly was shaken up on it, and then after the game, Mike Schilt said he was still woozy, so you didn't feel great about the potential of him avoiding the concussion IL. But again, Kevin Acee reporting he is headed to the concussion IL. Trenton Brooks will take his place on the active 26-man roster. But again, Padres have not made that move official. If they do, before we get off the air, we'll share it with you. That is reporting though from Kevin Acee of the San Diego Union-Tribune. So a look at the lineup today without Jackson Merrill in it, one way or another. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Luis Ariz at first base batting second. Manny Machado, the DH, batting third. Gavin Sheets in left field batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting sixth. Jose Iglesias at third base batting seventh. Brandon Lockridge in center batting eighth. And Elias Diaz behind the plate and batting ninth with right-hander Nick Pivetta on the mound. Lineup today for Arizona looks like this. Corbin Carroll in right field leading off. Ketel Marte at second base batting second. Geraldo Perdomo at shortstop batting third. Josh Nadler, the DH, batting cleanup. Eugenio Suarez, the third base batting fifth. In the sixth spot, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in left. Pavin Smith at first base batting seventh. Alec Thomas in center batting eighth. And Jose Herrera doing the catching and batting ninth with right-hander Merrill Kelly on the mound for Arizona. Let's hear from Padres manager Mike Schilt before today's game.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Schilt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Day game after a night game, so no pregame media availability from Mike Schilt today. So we'll focus on yesterday's game for just a moment more here. Hear what Mike had to say after what was a very rough ending for the Padres yesterday. They had a 7-3 lead heading to the bottom half of the ninth inning. Diamondbacks getting 5 runs against Robert Suarez to come back and win it. There was a lot of good in that game. Ryan Berger went 5 innings, 3 runs given up. Padres scoring 4 runs in the 7th inning to come back, take a 5-3 lead. They tacked on insurance in the 9th inning to make it 7-3, but it all came crashing down in the 9th inning when the Diamondbacks scored 5 runs to come back and win it by a final of 8-7. Here was what Mike Schilt had to say after yesterday's loss.
I thought Berger more than did his part, gutted up. Him going back out and grabbing that fifth, getting closer to his pitch count, and keeping right there was big, Yuki did his part. Strider did his part. Adam was good. Just couldn't hold him off. The offense, to your point, was very good on 1 through, the meat of the order. Toddy really good again. 2 RBIs, Manny 2 RBIs. Bogey, great swings. Finally got rewarded with somebody on third with a line drive to the middle. She's clearly had a big day. Homer, 3 knocks. We did our part to bring it home, and we trust Robert. We trust him tomorrow. It just didn't happen tonight.
What do you say about him with just the season he's had, and I guess just part of the game that these kinds of things can happen?
Yeah, listen, we don't take it for granted. He's had a fantastic season. He's leading all of Major League Baseball in saves, and he's a guy we went out there with the lead and got the lead and got him out there, and he hadn't been out there in 4 days, and he's our freshest guy. So, All-Star last year, heading there this year, and he's a big part of the reason we have success. And he just went his day, and we love him, and we're glad he's on our side.
That was Padres manager Mike Schultz after yesterday's loss in Arizona. We'll hear more from Mike on our post-game coverage coming up later on this afternoon. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Military Sunday on the Padres Radio Network is presented by your San Diego County Toyota dealers. Every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, no cost, maintenance standard, so you get peace of mind standard. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not before this series finale.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
In the hot category, you guessed it, guy alone there right now. It's been like that. I don't know how many pregame shows in a row where I've had Manny alone in this hot category, but he's alone in that hot category again today. Manny hitting .333 in his last 23 games with a .989 OPS in that span, 7 home runs and 21 RBIs. The not category, we focus on a few guys. Xander Bogaerts 1 for 12 in his last 3 games, 0 hits in this series. Did have an RBI on a sac fly yesterday. Elias Diaz 0 for 8 in his last 11 plate appearances with 3 walks. Jose Iglesias 3 for his last 17 with 4 walks in his last 22 plate appearances. And like we said a little bit earlier, Diaz and Iglesias both in the lineup today in the bottom third of the lineup. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for this series finale. We told you that the Padres had not made that move official yet regarding Jackson Merrill. Well, now I can tell you the Padres have officially put Jackson Merrill on the 7-day concussion IL. They have selected the contract of Trenton Brooks from AAA El Paso. On the other side of our next break, we'll talk more about Trenton Brooks and give you kind of the quick bio on Trenton Brooks. Let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Twins outfielder Byron Buxton was scratched from today's game after being hit by a pitch on the left elbow last night. Twins manager Rocco Baldelli said the Twins don't believe it's a serious injury. He's day-to-day. Luis Robert Jr. was a late scratch before today's game between the White Sox and the Rangers. Robert dealing with a sore right thumb. Robert could be a trade target for the Padres at some point. He's hitting .194 on the year. Rockies entered today with a 13-57 record, the 4th fewest wins by any team through their first 70 games in Major League history. Rockies currently on pace to go a cool 30-132 this season. A cool note on Father's Day. Yesterday, Wilson and William Contreras hit a home run in the same inning. They both went deep in the 9th inning. Cardinals beat the Brewers 8-5. With those home runs, they became the second pair of brothers to homer in the same inning as opponents. The first pair of brothers to do that was back in 1933, Rick and Wes Farrell, in a matchup between Boston and Cleveland. And earlier today, USA Today's Bob Nightingale reported that the Dodgers are one of the teams lurking for Marlins right-hander and former NL Cy Young Award winner Sandy Alcantara, who a lot of people expect the Marlins to trade at some point before the deadline. And that is a look at some headlines from around the major leagues. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in a little bit. When we come back, we give you the latest on Yu Darvish and Jason Hayward. We'll also give you our keys to the game. Full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup coming up a little bit later as well. First pitch at 1:10 in Arizona on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, gang, it's Woodsy.
Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 1:10 between the Padres and the Diamondbacks. Padres looking to avoid a 3-game sweep in Arizona before they begin a 4-game series in LA starting tomorrow against the Dodgers. D-backs eyeing their first sweep of the Padres since sweeping them in a 3-game series in the shortened season in 2020. So would be nice for the Padres. They're going to win here today before that big series in LA begins tomorrow. Let's give you the latest on Jackson Merrill, on Jason Hayward, and Yu Darvish.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at BadaFulkerson.com.
We told you about this in our last segment. Jackson Merrill officially on the 7-day concussion IL after he was hit in the head with that tag at second base yesterday. So Merrill's going to miss at least a little bit of time here on the concussion IL. Corresponding move, Padres calling up Trenton Brooks from AAA El Paso. We'll talk more about Brooks in a second. As far as Yu Darvish, he threw 18 pitches in a simulated inning yesterday morning at the team's complex in Peoria, Arizona. He reached with his fastball while facing 4 batters, striking out 1 and walking 1, his first time facing batters in a month. It's likely, and this is according to Kevin Acee in the San Diego Union Tribune, it's likely that Darvish does at least one more sim game to get stretched out a little bit further before a rehab start. How he feels after yesterday's sim game will help determine the next steps. As far as Jason Hayward, he's been on the IL since May 24th with an oblique strain. He was 0 for 4 in his first rehab game in AAA Friday, 1 for 4 with a single yesterday. Served as the DH both days. He's scheduled to have today off, and then he's scheduled to play left field on Tuesday for AAA El Paso. So that's the latest on Jason Hayward, and that's a look at our injury report on this Sunday. As far as Trenton Brooks, who will be an option off the bench for the Padres today, Brooks did play in the major leagues for the first time last year, played in 12 games with the Giants, and had a handful of hits in 29 plate appearances. He had good numbers with AAA El Paso, 14 home runs, 54 RBIs in 60 games, 1,000 OPS in the Pacific Coast League. So he did a nice job at AAA, gets rewarded by getting his contract selected earlier today with Merrill going on the concussion IL. Brooks is 29 years old, a 17th round pick back in 2016 by Cleveland out of the University of Nevada. So he's been around a long time, a quick cup of coffee last year in the major leagues, and now plays for his second major league team for the Padres whenever he gets in his first game in the brown and gold. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Key number 1, hey offense, pick up where you left off. The Padres offense scored 6 runs in the final 3 innings of yesterday's game, including 3 hits with runners in scoring position, 2 of them coming from Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado. Fernando, in particular, is showing some real signs of breaking out of this slump. He was 2 for 5 yesterday. He's now 6 for 16 with 5 walks in his past 5 games. Also has good lifetime numbers against today's Diamondbacks starting pitcher, Merrill Kelly. Tatis has 4 home runs against Kelly and just 25 at-bats against him in his career. Key number 2, somehow, some way, slow down this Arizona offense. The D-backs have scored 36 runs in their 5-game win streak, and if you do the math, that's more than 7 runs per game. They've got a lot of guys swinging the bat well right now. Ketel Marte's hitting .313 with 9 home runs, 18 RBIs in a 26-game on-base streak. Geraldo Perdomo is 4 for 8 with 4 RBIs in the first 2 games of this series. Eugenio Suarez hit his 20th home run of the season yesterday. He's 9 for 23 with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs in his last 6 games against the Padres. Corbin Carroll took an 0 for last night with a walk, but he's having a great year. Carroll is the only player in the major leagues right now with 10 doubles, 5 triples, 20 home runs, 40 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases. In fact, he's just the 3rd player since 1998 to reach those marks in his team's first 70 games. And finally, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., he's been a thorn in the Padres' side as of late. He's hitting .395 with a 1073 OPS, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs in his last 10 games against the Padres. So they've got a lot of guys that can hurt you in this lineup. They really do. Somehow, some way, Padres got to slow him down in this series finale. And the guy that will be mostly responsible for that today, that is right-hander Nick Pivetta. Brings us to key number 3, Pivetta pitching better in the division. We'll have more on Nick a little bit later, but consider this. Pivetta has a 1.96 ERA against everybody outside the National League West so far this year, but now in the NL West after his last start against the Dodgers, he has a 6.15 ERA in 26-plus innings with an 8.02 OPS against the division. So Pivetta has been really, really solid for the Padres in the first half of the season, but it feels like he needs a bounce-back performance here today. He also needs it because the Padres used 5 relievers yesterday, including Matsui, Adam, Estrada, Morejon, and Suarez. And again, remember, Padres have a 4-game series in LA coming up. Now would be a really bad time to start burning out this bullpen again. So the Padres need effectiveness from Pivetta today. They also need length. Again, bad day to have to go deep into that bullpen. We'll see how Pivetta does today. More on him coming up a little bit later. And that's a look at our keys to today's game with first pitch coming up at 1:10. Let's look outside Arizona, tell you what's going on around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We take a look at what's going on around the majors. The Reds have already beat the Tigers today, 8-4 in Detroit. Ellie De La Cruz in that game had a home run, his 16th of the season for Cincinnati. Everything else is going on or coming up a little bit later. Orioles beating the Angels 9-2 in Baltimore in the 8th inning. How about the Rockies beating the Braves 7-1 in Atlanta in the 7th inning? Marlins beating the Nationals 3-1 in the 7th inning in D.C. Red Sox beating the Yankees 2-0 at Fenway in the 8th inning. Phillies over the Blue Jays right now in the 6th inning 10-2. Rays beating the Mets for a third consecutive day right now 6-0 in New York in the 7th inning. The Twins beating the Astros 1-0 in Houston in the 7th. Royals beating the A's, or I should say, excuse me, tied at 2 against the Royals in Kansas City in the 6th inning, A's and Royals. Brewers beating the Cardinals 2-1 in Milwaukee in the 7th inning. Pirates and the Cubs tied at 2 in the 6th inning. Rangers beating the White Sox 1-0 in Arlington in the 4th inning. Games yet to begin, 2 of them aside from this one between the Padres and the D-backs. Guardians and the Mariners in Seattle at 1:10. And finally, Sunday Night Baseball, Giants and the Dodgers in LA at 4 p.m. Kyle Harrison against Dustin May, the starting pitching matchup in that one. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Sunday. When we come back, we tell you what to watch for in today's game, which, how do I preview this? We'll talk about the long ball and what to watch for. We'll also preview today's starting pitching matchup between Nick Pivetta and Merrill Kelly. Couple of veteran right-handers going at it. First pitch coming up at 1:10. We go out to Jesse and Tony in a little bit less than 12 minutes right here on your home for Padres baseball, the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 1:10 at Chase Field in Arizona. We go out to Jesse and Tony in just about 8 minutes. A very happy Father's Day to all the dads out there on this beautiful Sunday here in San Diego. No June gloom on this Sunday. Looking out at the sky above Murphy Canyon right now, and bright blue skies out there. So hope you're having a great Father's Day, whatever you might be up to, however you enjoyed the morning. Maybe you're going to the beach, maybe you're on the grill, some hot dogs, hamburgers, the grilled chicken, the steaks, whatever it might be. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Hopefully the Padres can give the San Diego dads out there a win on this Father's Day, avoid a sweep in Arizona. We'll preview today's starting pitching matchup between Nick Pivetta and Merrill Kelly in just a little bit. First, let's tell you what to watch for in today's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in this one? How does the home run ball play a factor in today's game? I'll explain. The D-backs have homered in 9 consecutive games, the longest active streak in the major leagues. Their 17 home runs in that span are tied for second in the major leagues. On the other side of that discussion, you have the Padres. Their last 16 games, the Padres have hit only a grand total of 7 home runs, 4 by Manny, 2 by Sheets, 1 by Maldonado. That's it. So you look at it, and I'm not going to get too deep into the numbers here. I'll spare you. But Fernando has not hit a home run in a while. Xander Bogaerts has not hit a home run in a while. Jake Cronenworth has not hit a home run in a while. Padres now without Jackson Merrill for a week. He was put on the concussion IL just earlier today. Padres need some power. Hey, home runs are good. They help. And again, the Padres have not hit very many as of late. The Diamondbacks are hitting them like they're going out of style lately. So keep an eye on that today. How does the home run ball play a factor in today's game? That's what to watch for in this series finale. Let's take a look at our starting pitching matchup between Pivetta and Kelly.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
32-year-old right-hander Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres today. Comes in 6-2, a 3.48 ERA in 13 starts, 72-plus innings. He struck out 79 and walked 21. Last 2 starts have been far shakier than how the year started for Pivetta. 10 combined innings against the Giants and Dodgers in his last couple of outings. 9 earned runs given up on 14 hits allowed in 10 innings. Remember, he threw 93 pitches in 4 innings on Monday against L.A. This will be Pivetta's 3rd career start against the D-backs, his first start against them since all the way back in 2018 when Pivetta was on the Phillies. Pivetta did have 3 innings of relief against them in 2023 with the Red Sox, 3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen. This D-backs team is really good against right-handed pitching, and as you probably know, they've got a lot of lefties in the lineup. Carroll, Marte's a switch hitter, Perdomo's a switch hitter, Naylor, you've got Smith, Thomas, Herrera's a switch hitter at the bottom of the lineup. They got a lot of lefties. They're very good against right-handed pitching. But the good news for the Padres is that Pivetta actually has been slightly better against lefties than righties overall this season. Lefties batting just .217 against them with a .600 OPS. So, hypothetically, Nick is well suited to face this lineup. We'll see. Right-hander Merrill Kelly on the mound for the D-backs today. 14 starts, a 3.18 ERA, 82 innings, 79 strikeouts, 21 walks, a 199 opponent batting average. He actually has the 4th lowest whip in the NL at 0.99. Kelly carries a 15-inning scoreless streak into today's game, the longest active streak in the majors. He's been really, really good lately. That streak began with a win in Atlanta to begin his June. Kelly gave up just 1 hit in 7 scoreless innings in that game. Kelly then pitched 6 shutout innings against the Mariners on Monday. However, Kelly has not been great against the Padres lately. A 6.26 ERA in his last 4 starts against San Diego. Faced the Padres only once late last season. gave up 5 earned runs on 8 hits in 5 2/3 innings. So again, Padres have hit Kelly well lately, last couple of years, but he has been really, really good as of late. Again, a 15-inning scoreless streak he carries into today's game, and that's a look at our starting pitching matchup. It's Kelly for the D-backs and Pavetta for San Diego. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Well, it's been a tough couple of games to begin this 3-game series. Padres losing on Friday, then a really rough loss yesterday as the D-backs scored 5 runs in the bottom half of the 9th inning to come back and win it 8-7. Padres come in 38-31. Diamondbacks come in 36-34. Padres have lost 4 of their past 5 games. Arizona has won 5 games in a row. They're 9-3 in their last 12 games. A big 4-game series coming up for the Padres starting tomorrow in LA against the Dodgers, so they could sure use a win here today in Arizona. Can they get it? Well, we're going to find out when we return. It's Jesse Agler. It's Tony Gwynn Jr. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. See you later, Padres fans.